What's happening, everybody? This is going to be a mashup video because I wanted to do a vlog talking about content creator struggles. Then I also wanted to do a video sharing some of my recent reads, which a couple I have pointed out in some recent videos. But I was like, you know what? Instead of just doing a straight vlog and just kind of talking and just showing off the books and do it in a way, just maybe show off a few without going into too much details. I want to do reviews of those all right now. Or just some of these books at all, but I still kind of want to talk about them and touch on them a little bit. So like, hey, you know what? Let's just do it together. We're gonna do a mashup style. So that's what we're doing. Content creator, some struggles that I've had, and just kind of point some stuff out, and just kind of talking and show off a couple books that I've read. Some cool reads, some interesting ones, some surprisingly good ones, and some okay ones, I guess. So actually gonna start off with a recent, well, this isn't so recent, but if you follow me on Instagram, GENOTHADRAGON, when I go to, sometimes I'll post some of the books I'm reading at the time, or I'm about to read, just read, whatever. But a lot of times when I go do laundry, I will take, not a lot of times, but I might take a trade and I'll post a picture of it on Instagram and I'll start reading it there. And then of course, since I started reading it, I'll finish it when I get home, because a lot of times I'm done before I can get through a whole book. So one of those recent books, well, recent-ish, I guess, is Immortal Hulk, Volume 1. This was one of, actually this other trade as well, was one of the free books I got from mycomicshop.com's Books Giving event, where it was, what was it? It wasn't day after Thanksgiving, it was Cyber Monday this past year, where bunch of book, like mad discounts across the site, and for every $10 that you spent, you get to pick from a selection of free books. There was trades, single issues, and they had a bunch of other stuff like posters, but I didn't want to waste a free gift on a poster or something like that. So I was getting trades and single issues of books I was interested in, or stuff that I never heard of. A couple of them I still haven't read. But Immortal Hulk Volume 1, they do have a couple issues. This one, issue 18, and I think 36 or 37, the Timeless variant, whichever one that was. Those two issues I wanted just for the Alex Ross covers, and I did read 18, I didn't read the Timeless variant book yet, whichever issue that is. I think it's 37. It could be 36. I don't know. But this one was actually a surprisingly good read, even with all of, and honestly, I don't even care for Joe Bennett's art for the most part. Honestly, I really don't. But some of the stuff, it's kind of one of those, he falls into that same category where, like, all right, I can appreciate him as his art as it's not him, because we won't get into that, but his art as far as storytelling goes, but just stylistically, it doesn't appeal to me. But overall, it was a damn good read. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I picked it up. Was I going to jump on and read the rest of it? Not that much. I didn't, like, it wasn't like, oh shit, this is mind blowing. Like, it was cool. Like, it was a cool story to read, and I dug it for that. But maybe if I pick up the other trades at some point, I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. So before I get too far into showing off all these books, again, I had those two trades, or that trade, another trade, and then a stack of books here. I'll probably just kind of flip through and show off a couple. I'm gonna do them all. But yeah, so content creator struggles. So I think one of the first things content creators look at, not as necessarily as a struggle, but just kind of just something you have to consider, is balance. And if you are of a certain age, just think about work-life balance, or maybe if you're younger, hey, school and just your school, and maybe you're young. I worked when I was younger in high school, or just your social life, trying to balance all that, maybe sports, or like all these other facets of our life, like you have to, that are just kind of going up against each other. And that was funny just thinking about now versus when I was younger. And this is kind of a bit of a tangent, but just a balance between like my hobbies and playing. Like, people always talk about these days, kids are always into video games, don't want to stay in the house. But when I was younger, maybe it's because I didn't have as many video games, but like, we were always outside. Like, I was outside with friends, riding bikes. We ride around the neighborhood, go to the park, play at the park, play basketball, play football, baseball, soccer. We're just running around screaming like maniacs, because that's what kids do. Just being outside, and then I'll be at home and like watching cartoons, video games, doing schoolwork, reading comics, and maybe drawing or something. Who knows? Like, so it's just kind of wild. Like, maybe just had that much more time. I don't know. But even now, like, obviously I'm not outside just playing because like, why would I do that? But maybe like working out or hooping, even though I haven't done either of those in a while, but just working and like reading comics and playing video games, and then being a content creator as I've been for a few years now. And just what balance means to me in that regard is, all right, so I work and consume all this content, gaming, comics, anime, watch movies, I watch series, and just doing like just life stuff. Like you have to clean, gotta do laundry, as kind of talked about, and all these other things just to maintain like my own world. So yeah, balance. And at one point I was trying to do daily videos, and it became hectic. Like time is running short. It takes time. Like doing a lot of videos, it's planning, setting up, recording, editing, uploading, and like doing all stuff regarding thumbnails and all the setting up the, like, I guess you could say editing video, but the uploading part where entering description and doing all this stuff, like that takes time. So I was like, oh man, it's kind of looking at, and then at one point I was like, you know what, there's too much. I spend way too much time. I'm not, and then plus like the views and just the numbers, which I'll get into later, because that's going to be another part of this, it wasn't, like, I don't know, maybe it just wasn't what I kind of expected, or there's like certain things just didn't hit right. The numbers were dropping off with more content. I don't know. So it's like, you know what, I'm going down to 3 days a week, and like it gives me more time to put into those videos and actually enjoy my other free time, because I don't want to do, like, I want to consume, like read comics and make video games, or not make videos, but read comics, play video games, and all this other cool stuff for my, like, consume that stuff for myself, as well as use it as fuel or inspiration or the subject of content for YouTube. So I haven't even done many reviews, but maybe like, I think Iron Man was the last one, Iron Man #1, the new series last year. I think that was the last comic review I did. Probably one of the only ones I've ever done on this channel. I used to do toy reviews, haven't done any of those action figure reviews in several years now. So just kind of finding that balance there. It's like, oh, it is kind of just maddening there. And I'm like, man, like, cause I work 2 jobs. So, and sometimes I get home and like I'm playing one of my favorite games. Obviously, y'all know Gears of War. I love it. I spent so much time playing Gears of War, the entire series. Like, just how much time I spent on that franchise since I got Gears of War 1, and I think it came out in 2006. I got it in 2007 when I got my 360, along with GRAW 2, Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter 2. And ever since, I've never turned back. Like, I've always been deep into Gears 1 through 5, and Judgment, not so much Judgment, but I spent a lot of, like, I just love playing Gears. Like, some days don't feel right if I don't get at least one match of Gears in. If I can squeeze in 2 or 3, like maybe one before bed, something like that. So reading comics, like try to get in a couple comics, maybe play a match of Gears, go chainsaw somebody, and sometimes just do that because I just need to relax. And sometimes I try to get on a schedule for dropping videos. So a lot of times I will schedule videos for 5 p.m. Central, and sometimes I just might not get it. Like this one, I'm doing this one Friday afternoon. I wanted to, I was kind of debating I was supposed to have different plans for this weekend, and it's kind of going back and forth about that. So I was like, all right, I should try to get a video up, but then I realized I wasn't going to do those plans. So I was like, screw it, I'll just do it. And I was like, why do I put that on myself? It's not, there's no, like the payoff isn't that big. Like, all right, if I don't have a video up at 5 o'clock, but it's like, all right, you know what, let me try to get videos out. I'll schedule them for 5 o'clock p.m. I'm even thinking about pushing them back earlier, maybe 3 o'clock, and just kind of seeing how that works. But there's no real, like, I mean, the end of that isn't that big of a deal. But I just try to do that, and if I don't, like, hey, you know what? Oh well, it's all right. So I don't know, just something kind of thinking about there with just finding a balance in what works best for me. And then I will, after this book here, kind of get into some of the numbers aspect, which kind of plays off of that as well. So here is another book that I got from my comic shop's Booksgiving. Here is Green Arrow Volume 2. Here There Be Dragons. This one is, so it goes, what is this? I think it was 7 through 12 of this Green Arrow run here. And I'll actually show this. Oh yeah, so the Powderhorn Trail Part 1 and 2. Here There Be Dragons Part 1 and 2. Oh no, wait. Here There Be Dragons Part 1 through 4. So yeah. So 6 issues here. And I also want to show this because Black Canary looks like, obviously. But then in the story, it was like, okay, they call this lady Dinah, but no blonde hair. She's just like some lady who's an ass kicker, I guess, too. But she has black hair, so I don't understand. Like, was this just how, I don't understand how, like, is this Black Canary? Like, why does she look like this? And then on the cover, she's in, like, she's kind of depicted in the way that, at least she's, you know, best known as, with the blonde hair. So I don't understand that. Was it a wig? Like, and there's no, I don't know if there's an explanation in the prior 6 issues before that. I have no idea. I don't understand it. But it was a solid read. Like, Green Arrow is a character I'm not really too interested in, like, going back and reading older stories, but, like, kinda. If I was just thinking about, like, prioritizing what characters I want to read older stories of, Green Arrow isn't that high up on the list, but I will read, like, I would obviously checking, that's why I picked this book. And I've read some of the current stuff, some of the Rebirth run, which I was, if you've seen any of my hauls the last year or so, I was kind of working on putting together. It ran 50 issues, so I figured why not? And I was able to pick up a bunch of those for $1 from one of my favorite comic shops. So I got a bunch of those. I might have it complete. I have to double check. It's been a while. But yeah, this one's a solid read too. It's got, obviously, it takes place in Seattle. He goes up to Alaska to go into this dog race. Shadow's back, because I think so it must have been in the previous 6 issues. They had, I don't want to say confrontation, but she was just kind of, I think she either faked her death or she just disappeared, and then she kind of came back here. She was on the run, so there's kind of there. And this page reminded me of some G.I. Joe, like just old G.I. Joe comics for some reason. It just looks like it, like Firefly or Beachhead or something. But yeah, so this one was a solid read as well. Interesting, just some of the characters here and just some of what they did here. I like this panel here. Kind of shows their reflection, so they're upside down as they're kind of walking. So yeah, on Deadly Wing. So yeah, Green Arrow there. Mike Grill, Ed Hannigan, Dick Giordano. So yeah, those are just a couple of trades that I've read, and then got a nice little stack here. Again, I'll probably just kind of flip through and select a couple issues. This one, probably do this one next. But yeah, so let's get into some of the numbers, because so right now I'm sitting at least as of this recording, about 834 subs. And then views are, like, views per video, I won't get into like average numbers because I usually don't delve into the stats that much. So it's not that drastic for me to, like, I'll look into certain things. I'll look at each video and I'll check each video just to kind of see, like, the views, the likes, and in the comments. I always talk about the engagement, and like, for having 834 subs, the views aren't always what I would anticipate, and then neither are, like, just the engagement altogether, views and comments and the likes. So I was kind of like delving that, or looking into that for, like, the reasonings, and then always just self-appraisal, introspection. I'm big on that. So I'm like, all right, what can I do? I know a lot of, this is something I struggle with a lot in older videos because I don't script videos. I'll make notes sometimes for certain points I want to touch on if I'm talking about a specific subject. But I generally never script anything because it's usually just kind of free-flowing. And that has definitely caused some of my like older videos I wouldn't say caused, but in some of my older videos, it has caused me to, not cause, but I've repeated myself, and sometimes, especially in the later end of a video, kind of wrapping up, I will just kind of repeat points for absolutely no reason. And that's just a product of not scripting and just kind of going over it and like, all right, just run things through my head as I'm like talking, and I'm like, oh, you know what, And it's like sometimes I'll see that, and I've had people comment about that, and just kind of how that goes. So I've mentally trying to work on that. When I get in, there's only I'm trying to think of other things where it might call for a full script. I don't know. One of the things as far as accessibility, which is just a minor kind of tangent here, I have considered doing maybe captions just to reach our wider audience for people who are hard of hearing or just aren't able to listen to the videos. But I'm like, all right, that would, if I scripted videos, like that would help with that because I would have it. It would just be a matter of turning it into a more kind of a transcript kind of thing and captioning it that way. So that's something to consider. And I've always talked about, like, it's always the engagement that really kind of drives it. That was kind of the inspiration for even becoming a YouTuber many years ago, was just kind of engaging with the comic book community and just connecting with people around the world, at least particularly around the United States, and just sharing in this amazing medium, this hobby of collecting, reading comics, and all of that fun that comes with it, that entire aspect. So I always talk about the engagement there. So again, just thank you. I thank all of you for subscribing, watching, checking out the channel, and just leaving comments and liking videos. If you share them, like, thank you. Thank all of you. I appreciate it all. Appreciate the love and the support. And honestly, I do have a few people who I but who will, at least with some regularity, some frequency, you know, engage in videos and watch and share comments, and I appreciate that. Honestly, I will take that over, like, I would take the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the regular few. I don't know. There's like another phrase for that, but over just having even more numbers and not having any engagement. Like, I guess, like, I'll just take the few people who at least will regularly kind of, you know, drop comments and like thoughtful shit too, because I appreciate that, and just having like a mini conversation basically in the comments. And I try to get back to comments with, I mean, sometimes it kind of varies. I may get it the same day. It may be shortly after you drop the comment, but oftentimes, like, depending on my schedule and what I'm doing, I can get busy, so it can be a day or so. And sometimes I won't respond to a comment until after I've dropped the next video, and I'm kind of going through and setting all of that up. And after it uploads, like while I was doing that, I might respond to some previous comments. So yeah, and I just want to say I just appreciate all of that, and do kind of I am looking at things like, all right, what can I do to just boost the engagement? What can I do? Because I know there are absolutely certain things that get a lot of attention, especially with the way that the comic community is these days in 2021 with speculation. Some of the big things, I'll get into some of the big things that are like just hot within the comic book community after I talk about this book here. Here is Maniac of New York, #1 from Aftershock. Now, I do like this cover, especially the reflective cover. I talked about that reflective element on the cover. And this one, I was trying to remember like why I pre-ordered, and it sounded like the premise sounded cool. I was like, you know what? Let me check it out. It could be interesting. Aftershock, I like them. They've dropped a lot of dope books. So, and I was like, all right, you know, I'm not really into horror movies like that. Like, I'll say this, I will watch a horror movie, but like one time, maybe twice. After that, there's nothing there to drive. Like, all right, once I've seen it, like, that's it. Comedy movie, like, oh, it's another tangent, but a comedy, because those laughs, like, they're funny for a reason. A lot of times, I mean, sometimes they don't always last. Step Brothers, but most times they kind of will, like, come back and like it's still, if it's a legit good writing, then like those laughs are funny the second, third, fourth time. And action movies, I absolutely love. Those are my favorite. I will watch the shit out of an action movie. Some of my favorite action movies I've seen multiple times. And like those punches, those kicks, those ass kicking, the plots, those stories, like I still enjoy. So it's kind of weird. But like horror movies, there's nothing there to bring me back to. Like once I've seen it, like one time, like that's it. So kind of going in this, I was already like, all right, let me check it out and be curious. And it's not even the actual maniac in this one that's compelling. I don't like, it wasn't like nothing about him was compelling. It was the other characters. I think it was a reporter, or no, she wasn't a reporter. I think she was someone assigned to a task force, and there was another detective. I don't think the other person was a reporter. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a while since I read this now. But just them and the way the detective kind of, her connection to the case, and I think she might be a she. I can't remember now. But just like her outlook, like I was kind of like, that's what kind of pulled me back in. So I'm, oh man, you know what? I'm almost kind of interested in reading the second issue. It's already out now, but it's like, like, do I want to? I don't know. Maybe I will. So it was actually like, it was a surprisingly good read, better than I kind of anticipated. Kind of went in with no expectations, but yeah. So Maniac of New York, #1. And so now let's talk about some of the, like we don't know some of those the hot words in the comic book community right now. Speculation is at an all-time high. I've already talked about that, and that's going to be this, like how it's affecting the comic book or the hobby and comic book collecting, and what it will do for the future is the subject of another video that I have in the works, and I've kind of touched on that in the previous video. But yeah, speculation, slabbing, CGC, CBCS. I haven't gotten into that, but as I kind of get back into, as I'm kind of edging back into selling, I'm considering that because that will obviously boost the value of books, getting them slabbed, especially like just hotter books. Like that's huge. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Probably will end up getting into CGC. As far as my own stuff, I don't really care so much, but I would only do it for books I have multiples of. The same way I have, or I'm looking at like this, like, and I've talked about framed books. I showed off the frames I have and some of the books that I have framed. I'm only gonna frame, and I bought extra books, like duplicates of this. I'm only gonna frame books I have multiples of. I will never frame like a solo copy of a book. So I feel like I would never CGC or send in a book to get slabbed that I only have one of. You know what I mean? So like, and I don't really see too much value in it for my own personal collection. But selling, absolutely. So if I do decide to go full on get back into selling more books regularly, then I absolutely will sign up and get into that. So speculation, slabbing, and just going back to speculation, just keys, and constantly just talking about keys and hot books and top 10 and like selling stuff like the top 10 hits or top 10 sellers, hot books, all that. That's not really my thing. I do talk about keys because like they're important books and I'm a collector. So I just showed off those other 2 copies of Amazing Spider-Man 361, first world appearance of Carnage, Cletus Cassidy as Carnage. And like, yeah, it's a key book, but also I'm a Spider-Man collector and Carnage is my favorite character. And I already had 1 copy and I was able to get those other 2 copies. Am I gonna sell one of them? I was considering it, not the signed one, but the lower grade copy of the 2 new ones that I got. Considering that, maybe just hold on to them. I don't know, but I do like it's a cool picture looking at all 3 of them together, especially with the signed copy in the middle. I wish the signed one was a direct edition one, but that's where we are. So while I do obviously enjoy the key books because I enjoy, like I'm not just going out picking up key books like, oh, just because everybody's talking about it, like, hey, first appearance of so-and-so character I don't give a shit about, not for my personal collection. But another example is Daredevil 131. First appearance of the new Bullseye. I got that at that estate sale for under $4. It was at a $4 price tag, and I got a deal on the whole set. So I paid under that, which was an amazing find. Probably one of the best finds I've ever had in a while. But it wasn't like, hey, oh my God, I got this key book. It was because I collect Daredevil. I like Daredevil, the character. I like Bullseye. He's a crazy bastard, but he's fun. He's just putting spice in Daredevil's life. That's what he does. So it's never just, keys, hot books, and top 10. Because honestly, and I kind of said this before as a PSA for newer collectors, lapsed lapsed readers, if you want to get into investing, reselling, like be careful of top 10 lists. And it's not going to, oh, people are, what's the word I'm looking for? Not something with the market. I forgot what's the phrase, but just kind of affecting the market or whatever. But it's just what are the sources? Like, what are, like, people just kind of just spouting out top 10 lists based on what? Like, where are you getting this information from? And I feel that can be a danger to the hobby, because you're trying, especially like I talked about there are new collectors and new readers constantly jumping into this medium, this hobby. And if they're constantly like seeing this, some of them, if you get some younger collectors out there, younger fans, they might start taking this stuff as like just as the word, like this is what it is, when it's far from the truth. So are you really doing this for the sake of the hobby or for your own ends? Like, what's your end goal? What's your end game there? And I feel like that can be dangerous for the hobby. So I'm always like, all right, if you want to get into, like, if you're interested in that, go ahead. Like, I'm not trying to shame you, but just be mindful of other, like the people, the sources or people behind it. Be mindful of their interest in as well. It might not be aligned with yours and your values, and as far as it being genuine. So just be careful. Like, hey, I don't want to like show you how to collect, tell you how to collect, dictate whatever, but just kind of be mindful of that stuff. So, and then I'm trying to think of, there was another one, but there's just some of the things that are just constantly hot in the comic book community right now, mystery boxes as well. But those are just kind of fun. I haven't delved into those as well, but just kind of, I like the mystery packs, like those comic packs in Wally World. I used to get them from Five Below, but I haven't seen them there, and I don't even know, probably long before the shutdown. So who even knows if they'll be back there? But those are kind of cool. Sometimes are just people just trying to get rid of their old stock that they can't move and throw it in a box and like just kind of just put out there for people, and then other people get stuck with it. I don't know, but yeah. Let's see what else we got here. We got some cool books. I did touch on this already, Animal Man #3, and it's kind of interesting because it's not the first issue. I'm just kind of jumping into the middle of a series. So there are two, and not as much story because there's only 2 issues before this one. So like, all right, did I miss much? Just a little bit, because it kind of starts off and his arm had been ripped off. So he's kind of laying there and he's bleeding, and he's kind of, he's just on the ground. So I think he's just out of a window. Something tore his arm off. And as he's bleeding into the soil, he's kind of thinking about it. And he's like, oh, worms rejuvenate and regrow. I don't say limbs because obviously it's a worm. They don't have limbs, but they kind of regrow after damage. So he's like, oh, took power of the worms. Boom, new arm, and he's back. So that was just kind of interesting. Again, it's just, dude, I'm curious to see how wild this run got. I forgot how many issues it ran, but it definitely ran. I imagine it probably ran a little wild and was like, hey, we're gonna get weird. And Grant Morrison and who knows what, I can't remember what other creators got in there, but yeah, they probably got into some real weird shit there. Let's see. I actually might save some of these because I got a couple miniseries here that I was reading in, so I'll do some of the singles. Here is Batman Black and White #1. This is the Peach from Momoko cover here, which looks fantastic. And I never read any of the other, I know there was some other like Black and White Batman anthology series. I'm always kind of hesitant with the anthologies because I'm like, all right, are these stories going to be actually meaningful, or are they just going to be just some one-off story? Like, I know they're obviously going to be one-off stories, but is there just going to be anything behind them, or is there just going to be a bunch of stupid shit for a couple pages and then kind of move on? And this one there's a couple stories in here. One is really weird, and I still don't understand like what's actually happening, but I like the creator, Emma Rios. Like, I think she's fantastic. I love what she did on Pretty Deadly and a couple other series, but I have no idea what was happening in her story. And I know they talked about, I think it said the pit. Well, okay, is this about the Lazarus chamber, like Lazarus pit, or Lazarus pit, Lazarus chamber, whatever? like, is it about that? Or it was like, I thought so partway through the read. I'm like, wait, I have no idea what's going on with this story. But then there's this Killer Croc story where he's just held up in his apartment with this lady, and he's cooking, and Batman is like investigating. I think there might be police outside, and he goes in, and he's like, he talks about he's missing something. It's like, I think I missed something, but he doesn't quite get it, and he's in there, and the ladies just had to get like a dining room table or something, and Killer Croc's in the kitchen cooking, and she Batman tells her to like either stay there or leave or something like that, and he goes into the kitchen, and then he's like, he has this epiphany, like, there it is, and then right when he does that, the lady like hits him with something in the back of the head, because she wasn't like being held like against her will. She was, or maybe she was just okay with it because he just wanted somebody to talk to. Like, cooked for her, he treated her right, and he just wanted somebody to talk to. So I guess they were just hanging out. And I think before the last couple of panels, before like they showed what was happening, I was envisioning, or I was reminded of, what was that, Red Dragon, I think? Well, no, not Red Dragon, the other one. Was it Hannibal? I don't remember, but one of the Hannibal Lecter movies, where he's feeding Ray Liotta's character he's cut a piece of his brain out. He cooked it and he fed it back to him. And so Ray Liotta's sitting in the kitchen eating. It looked like unseasoned. If you've ever seen unseasoned chicken cook, it's the most lifeless shit in the world. Obviously because it's dead, but not just because it's dead, but just because it looks so awful. That's what it looked like, Ray Liotta eating his brain. But that's what I kind of expected here. I'm like, all right, Killer Croc, there's gonna be some wild shit. You got this lady here, but nope, he just wanted somebody to talk to. So I was like, damn, you know what? That was a pretty cool story, and I would like that to be fleshed out. I think that would be really dope just to kind of see. But visually, like the black and white looked dope. It worked, and just you got different values as far as like how much. Obviously not that artistically illiterate, but just visually, it definitely appealed to me. And I had already pre-ordered a couple of these. I think I might already have 2 and 3 by now, but I don't know how long. This probably goes 4, 5, 6 issues, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so that was just a couple more issues that I had read. And yeah, so just to kind of keep this, I don't know how long this video's gone now, but yeah, so a couple books I read, those 3 issues, Mortal Hawk, Green Arrow, Maniac in New York, Aftershock, Animal Man, and Batman Black and White. And then just some of the things kind of as a content creator look at, just bringing on my balance. And then as I did fail to mention that I'm still in the process of relaunching my gaming channel. So got some new stuff coming out with that, because MLB The Show 21 is coming out, Go Dodgers, World Series champs, and Mass Effect Legendary Edition is out next month. So, and I absolutely will be doing something with those. Definitely unboxings and some streaming on my Twitch channel, GENOTHADRAGON, as well. So just some stuff to look out for that. So unboxings on Amazon. I want to get that channel up before those games drop, and so I have a couple of videos already lined up for that. So I want to have I don't want that unboxing to be the first thing I do. So yeah, and then just some of the stuff that's hot right now within the comic book community, and especially within the YouTube community and maybe IG, that are just kind of making big numbers there. Like, all right, and just some just being self-aware and realize I do like my niche within the YouTube comic community, because I do care about it. Number one is the medium itself, comic books. I love it as a storytelling medium. I love just the stories we've gotten, the characters, the creators. We've just had just so much just dope comic book shit, creativity, and just the unique way that comics can relay a story, and just the different ways that you can within a comic book. Not every story is the same. Different creators work differently, and just the characters and stories and the creators all kind of hook you in. So I value that. Actually, it's not just about collecting for keys and future value and investments. It is about the story and all of just enjoying it at its just enjoying it to its fullest. So yeah, always kind of looking at myself first for any just the way things have gone. Hopefully, still continuing to grow slowly but surely. It's okay. And anybody else that's grown, hey, like shout out to y'all. I shouted out a few channels. But then I think, what was it, last month? I don't remember how long ago that was. But shouted out a few other channels who are doing dope stuff, who are growing. So shout out to all y'all. Absolutely wouldn't hate that. Just everybody just enjoying themselves and just doing different stuff. Like, that's great. So yeah, just a couple of things there. Let me know your thoughts if you read any of these books, and share your thoughts in those below. What do you think about the anthology series, Animal Man, Maniac of New York? Share all that. Let me hear it in the comments below. If you want to hear about any of these other books some of the books that I've read recently, this is just some of them, not all of them. Just some of the ones that I had, like, that were immediately reachable from where I was sitting when I pulled these books out. If you want to see some of those, and I'll do some more in-depth, kind of show some of the interiors off. Yeah, share those. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And yeah, I hope everyone has a good weekend. Let me know what you're reading, what you're up to. If you're going on hunting this weekend, like what you're looking for, dollar books, whatever, keys, big books, run fillers, whatever. Share it all in the comments below. Happy reading, happy hunting, happy collecting. This is GENOTHADRAGON. Thanks for watching, and peace out.